Welcome to episode 103 of the Startup Show. Today we are here at the Technopark and we are talking to Rolf about VR and virtual reality, the future of virtual reality, and we're waiting for the Apple moment of virtual reality. Thank you very much for being here today and stay tuned for the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Startup Show. Today we are back here at the Technopark and we're recording episode 103 of the Startup Show. Today I have the big pleasure to meet with Rolf, who is the CEO and co-founder of Sensoryx. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Cedric. Hi.
So, as I told you just before the video started, we did a lot of off-the-record research with investors and asked them what they would like to hear in our videos to make it really suitable, mostly for startup investors. So, Rolf, as usual on the Startup Show, seems like the investors really like that, to hear a brief introduction about you personally, before we get into the startup itself.
Perfect, yeah. So you got my name. My name is Rolf Adelsberger. I'm 36. I studied a long time ago almost computer science, and I have a PhD in electrical engineering. Most did actually from my background.
So when you look at your background, you could have stayed in academia, you maybe could have also, gone into corporate world. What made you decide to actually start your own venture, which is probably the most difficult way?
Sure, yeah. Actually, it started with my master's thesis where, I was kind of in the same area, but then I had a vision of what I actually wanted to do. And in the meantime, between my, PhD and master's, I was also working for a big company. And then I found out, that if you want to follow your dream, you really have to do something on your own. Otherwise, you will never actually be able to achieve your vision. So that's at some point when I decided to,
Okay, it's a time to do something on
exactly.
your own. Also, a lot of times what you hear, especially here in Switzerland, that the courage is missing, let's say right after your master's, I guess, to really say okay, I'll take the chance and do my own thing.
That's true, yeah. But basically, especially with the education in Switzerland and also with the environment, if you have a good master's degree, then you never actually are, in danger of not getting a job. So basically, it's always kind of a safe decision, even if it fails at the end. So.
Yes. Before we go into Sensoryx, before you give me exactly what's going on, I would like to hear your impressions from CES. You just came back.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm a little bit jealous because one day I really want to go also myself.
You have to. Yeah.
Because it's really the place. Besides the light, everything, how was it there?
It was awesome. So it was so big. I can't really give you a very good overview over the CES since I was always almost at the booth. But it's huge. The vibe is very good. People are very, very interested in stuff, and you see a lot of new things. So basically, I was in the Curated Park. That's a startup park. Maybe you know that one. Yep. So one whole floor just for that, and it was very fun to see all the different projects and all the different people. Yeah.
And I guess it's the best place probably to get immediate feedback from potential clients,
absolutely,
consumers, customers.
Especially if you have something to show. So we took our system with us and let the people play with it, and it was very good.
It was fun. It was good to have. Very good. So let's get into Sensoryx.
Sure.
Not hold back the audience too much to understand what exactly you guys do, because I'm fascinated when I saw first time about and heard about you.
So basically Sensoryx, we do kind of a motion capture glove.
Yeah.
It's a glove, you wear it on your hands, and it's actually used to capture your fingers and hand motion and positions in VR. We do that without external cameras. So usually the regular systems actually need you to install some stuff in the room. Our system is autonomous, so you can just plug it on and basically walk outside.
What does that mean? Let's say if you talk about, first applications of how people are using it.
So basically the first applications, of course, are gaming. That's the biggest market. It's still lacking a good controller. So basically what people usually use are controllers that you have to push buttons. If you think further, which is also kind of in our roadmap, so to speak, the applications are endless, especially if you go to AR, so augmented reality, where you actually want to interact with virtual content in the real world. You have to have some kind of tools to interact with this one, and you don't want to push buttons. That's something. So you want to use your hands. Usually millions of years of evolution. Why should you push buttons? Mm-hmm. Industrial applications are something. Then kind of Minority Report, a way of interaction with computers. Medical training, medical testing.
Are there some verticals where you are specifically looking to expand or to have as a first case study?
Focusing first on gaming. That's the main thing. And then maybe industrial applications. So we had quite a lot of interest for industrial applications, like just see what the hands are doing, or kind of cockpit simulations where a pilot needs to push buttons, and it's much easier with the hands. Yeah.
So in industrial, can you maybe elaborate on one of the examples, like how it's being used?
I said it's usually maybe for pilot training. So there are companies that just build mock-up cockpits for the pilots to train their interaction. The pilots would wear our gloves and actually could just push any buttons in the virtual cockpit.
So basically they're wearing glasses, they're wearing the gloves.
Yeah,
then they need a chair, ideally, and that's it. They don't need the whole simulation.
Exactly, yeah. So
okay, that's fascinating.
Sometimes they still have a kind of a joystick, so a physical one, but all the buttons usually are virtual. So
right. One of the key questions that I was told by investors, what they are interested in is product market fit. Okay. I'm sure you heard about that term. Yeah. The question is, did you find it? How did you find it? And how can you prove that you found it based on what you had till now?
We did a lot of research, especially my co-founder Fabian. So we are always actually screening the market there, and gaming is the biggest market so far in this one. There's a need for something like this, for kind of an interaction device. And we also talked to bigger companies like Logitech and others. They all are looking for something, but they kind of don't really advance in our opinion, the correct direction. Yeah. So that's one thing. So we know there's still a need here, so that we don't have to search for it. So. That's one thing, yeah. Okay, very good.
When you look at, let's say, the industry where it's going, and when you compare it, let's say, to past event, let's say, the Apple moment of VR, I mean, like, till today, I think, besides, let's say, the picture that went viral, Mark Zuckerberg with all the big audience with his virtual reality, and the guy on the plane that was looking some video, I'm sure you saw that video, this picture. Do you think, or let's say virtual reality is going mainstream in the next couple of years, or what is missing to kind of like for the next step?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely positive about that one. So, I mean, if you look back in history, at least 2 times there has been the try to actually get VR in and out in the world. But I think right now the hardware is ready. So all the technology actually kind of evolved to this stage where we are right now. I think what right now is kind of missing still is probably the quality of the displays, which is advancing very, very quickly. So at CES, we saw some devices which are much, much better than anything you can actually buy right now on the market. That's one thing. And I think the really important thing would be the advance of AR. So I think VR in itself is nice, but when it really kicks in will be when AR devices are available, so really good ones. Maybe you heard about the Microsoft HoloLens. Which is a very good kind of prototype, but it still doesn't cut actually what you want to have. It's because the field of view is too small. But in the next few years...
Magic Leap?
Magic Leap, well, there's nothing out from Magic Leap except very good promotion videos. Seriously, it's genius what they do, but nobody has ever seen a device working. And there are other companies gaining quite fast, whose devices you actually can touch. So Magic Leap is surely one of them, but the others are not quite far behind, I would say.
What I think is interesting that you didn't mention connectivity. Is this something that is important? I mean, like, is the internet, let's say, outside of the Wi-Fi area good enough? So 5G or...
Absolutely. I mean, usually you don't stream very big content, especially if you have a collaborative setting, then you just stream the position more or less and the interactions. You don't have to stream the whole scene. So it depends on how smart you actually designed your infrastructure.
Which I guess you did.
No, so I mean, for our purposes, we don't need too much data to transfer. So it's really just positions and everything. And then it's actually, just a question of the application that you're using. Yeah. But the internet is absolutely ready, no way.
That was the first part. We are now going into the audience asks.
Okay.
That's a question that I created on social media.
Yep.
Now, this time is a little bit special because the person wanted to stay anonymous. So I'm going to ask a question anyways. I would like to hear your answer. The question is the following. What verticals are you looking to pursue with this technology? Are you focusing purely on gaming, or can there be also more medical, clinical applications?
Actually, which kind of brushed it a little bit before. So, of course, right now we're focusing on gaming because, I mean, that's the strongest growing market right now, but medical is very, very interesting. We also do have already very much interest from medical applications. We have at least 3 surgeons actually that would actually want to have one of those devices to implement in their surgery software. So that's something we have to look at, and we definitely will look into that. The thing is with medical applications, it's a much slower pace. You need all the certifications, and that takes time to actually get through of them. Yeah. And that's why actually we chose the way to first go into something which is easier.
Adoption rate,
And if everything is actually matured to a point which we are happy with, then we actually can go into a way of do the certification. But the technology actually wouldn't be that much different from our side. I mean, we are very precise, and you could readily use it in medical applications. It's just a matter of finding the right partners and finding the right way of certification.
Well, I was recently at a museum where you could actually see how people are using it, specifically also medical doctors, to actually train themselves on heart surgery. Yeah. But also what was interesting, what I saw is people who would do remote surgery using some kind of devices.
Then you would need a very good internet connection.
They need very good. Let's say you don't want to have open heart surgery and bad internet connection. Very good. So much about the audience question. Now, next part is a quick fire question and answer, Q&A. I will have 5 questions. You have about 30 seconds or less to answer these questions. Okay. Let's see how it goes. You ready?
I am.
Relax, it's all good. So, who do you admire in the startup world and why?
Startup world? Well, it's been a long time, but actually I would say Elon Musk.
Okay.
I read his story that's somebody with...
Just very, I think his visions are always huge. You know, he's not saying like, I'm going to turn around a little city in Zurich.
Exactly. And especially if you know his background, I mean, he doesn't make compromise. He's all in. Yes. So it's a kind of, oh, well, is it worth it financially? So he has this vision, he wants to do it, and then he does it. That's something. And he has a lot of failure also. I mean, if you look at the SpaceX, or it was tremendous how many rockets actually fell down again.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Good. The second one is the following. You have to finish a sentence. Okay. My biggest mistake as a startup?
Maybe, not starting earlier.
Not starting earlier, like during your master's or during your PhD?
Well, yeah, maybe. But, I mean, we are still at we had actually perfect timing, but sometimes it would have been more relaxed if we already had started earlier with something, maybe taking more people earlier or something like that. That's something which would have helped. It's not a mistake in the case that actually we failed in this one, but it would just have made things easier, I guess. Yeah.
So can we take that as an encouragement for students to start their own thing?
Absolutely. if they do have a vision, I mean, usually you need a vision otherwise. Same if you go to university, usually if you just do it because you don't know what else to do, then you're going to fail, or it's going to be very, very hard. But you need to know why you're doing it. There has to be some kind of why. And if you have that, go for it.
Right. Third question. What's most important to you in an investor? You recently just, in May, I think you announced your first funding round. Yeah. So what was important to you when you were looking for investors?
So in that stage, actually, we were really interested in smart investors. Yeah. So because you can't know everything about everything. I mean, especially if you have somebody who already kind of went through the similar process. So somebody who has built his own company, or actually can give you connections in the areas that you need, basically, and can also give you valuable input. That would be something which is very important. Yeah. So smart investors, not just giving. I mean, money is something, of course, but
door opener.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Best tip to get an investor on board?
Be authentic. Yeah, I would say they have to feel actually that you really believe in your vision, and there are all these guidelines. You have to say that, or you must not say this. I think the best way is just be yourself and kind of try to get this feeling and this motivation or vision over to the other people, and usually the right people will pop up and actually have interest in you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So serendipity.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. You gave me the word.
Last question. Most important characteristics of a winning team?
Good communication.
Good communication.
Yeah, and patience.
Okay. Can you elaborate for 20 seconds why communication is that important?
I think if you don't communicate, usually, everybody has his own model in his head. Yeah. And if you actually don't kind of try to transfer it to the others, the conflicts will emerge. Especially technically, one might work on this one and one on the other one, and in the end, it's, actually, if we had talked a week ago, we could have avoided that kind of error or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good communication, I guess. Very important. For the fourth part of my show, I would like you to give us an advice, like the expert advice. So let's say if you look back into entrepreneurship, first days, what is the advice you can give, or while building your company, we'd say like, this is the advice wise me can tell you now. Okay, yeah. So I have a technical background, purely technical, and so kind of nerdy, geeky. And usually in my
era would think, well, if I can explain the problem, actually, or I can show a very good prototype, it's enough. If you're doing a technical thing, then don't underestimate actually kind of the marketing aspect. So it has to look shiny. That's actually
magic leap.
No, seriously, actually, don't just put it under the rug, but actually already focus in the beginning on how you want to present it. The presentation is very important.
Absolutely.
Because
storytelling.
Because usually people actually, especially if you want to get investors, they don't have a technical background. So all they can actually see is just actually purely
what you see.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So yeah.
Okay, Rolf, thank you very much for giving me the time. I really appreciate it. To all the audience out there, thank you very much for tuning in today into episode 103 of the Startup Show. Make sure to leave me some comment with your feedback. If you like this new setup, you can also send me an email or WhatsApp, whatever you like. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and I'll see you next week with the new episode. Have a great day.
Hey guys, I'm Jonas. I'm Vice President for Start Summit.
And my name is Niklas. I'm the President of Start Global.
Make sure to stay tuned for next Monday for the full video and subscribe to the channel, The Startup Show by Global Tech Boss.
See you soon.